Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Christmas is coming to town. We're recording this just before the Christmas, and this is my favorite season of the year. I'm like Santa Claus. Look, I have a little Santa workshop behind me. And today we have a very special elf with us, joining us, joining us all the way from Cyprus. She's a dear, dear friend and collaborator. We go all way back. I don't want to, name the years right now because it's like embarrassing, but we know each other for a very long time. I love her. Elisabeth Villiger Toufexis. It's the podcaster. She's a director of the Global Women's Club of Cyprus and New York. She's also NLP practitioner, hypnotherapist, and author of the book, The Soul Kit, the first aid to the soul. And she's a remarkable and amazing coach. And today we're going to dive into different topics. We're going to talk about favorite topic of Elisabeth, which is gratefulness and gratitude. We're going to look into that and what do we need to be grateful for the past year and how we can use gratitude going forward into the next year. Then we're going to talk about lessons from the soul and talk about certain secrets and tips and tools and techniques from her recent book. And we're going to expand into different topics that are heart desires and wants. Welcome, Elisabeth.
Hello, Soren. It's so good to see you. And yes, I've turned my laptop so you can see my Christmas tree, even though it looks weird here in Cyprus because it's always sunny and the Christmas tree is somehow out of place.
I know, you need to put the artificial snow and then it's going to be even better.
Yes.
So tell me about your journey. How did you get into coaching? That's something that's always interesting to people, and coaching and hypnotherapy and actually personal development industry, because you came from travel and luxury travel, and then you've done a lot of different activities, but you ended up in personal development. What was your journey in that?
Well, it's actually a very long story, and it's something that even though we've known each other for a long time, there are things about me that you don't know because I never used to talk about them. But when my mother died, I started, because I was born to a mother who was 16 years old, and wow. She wanted to give me up for adoption because she couldn't have me. We were living in a small Catholic village in Switzerland and everybody was pointing fingers. And so she just wanted to sort of make it disappear. But I had a very nice grandpa who took me home. So I grew up with my grandparents. And the thing is, they were old. My grandfather died when I was 10. So I was more or less left on my own and started working when I was 13. And I didn't like my environment. I didn't like to be, I was bullied at school for what I was or for who I was or for who I wasn't. I didn't have parents. You know what? Kids can be cruel, but I was also bullied by a teacher. And I thought, I don't want to be here. I want to leave. And that's how I became a tour guide. I started learning with the money that I earned when I was 13. I worked in a ski lodge. I used to clean tables, and I worked in a hotel in the summer, clean hotel rooms. And with the money that I earned, I learned languages because I knew that if I wanted to become a tour guide, I needed to speak several languages, especially in Switzerland, because we are trilingual. So that's how I started going abroad. That's how I got this job as a tour guide. And I was away for 11 years. As you know, I had a great time. I was tall and blonde and gorgeous. But the problem is that when you are carrying something with you, you can travel as far as you want. You're taking it with you. And I had this low self-esteem always, not being wanted, because that's how I was told I would, you'll never achieve anything. You're kids, and you're called a bastard when you don't have any, So I was carrying this with me, even though I was having all this fun, living in New York and living in God knows where. But when I was, I think in 1989, now, I guess now we're going to give my age away.
Yeah.
Because I was 29 and I was working in Florida, and I took my tour group to a shopping mall, and I went into a bookstore and I picked up a book. And, there is no coincidence. We pick up things because they are speaking to us. And I picked up this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Mm-hmm. And I went to the hotel in the evening with the tour group and I started reading, and I was fascinated. I had never known that I had a subconscious mind or that we have a mind, you know, that how this works. And that was the beginning of my self-development journey. And funny enough, very funny story, about 3 months later, I was in Los Angeles between 2 trips, and I was in a hotel where it had nothing to do. I didn't want to go sightseeing because that was my job, and I was bored, and I was looking around in the rooms, you know, in the ballrooms, what was happening. And there was this public speaking seminar. And I thought, that's what I do as a tour guide. I am a public speaker. So I walked into this seminar, and I still don't know up until today if I actually paid for it or not. The person, listen to this, the person who gave this seminar was Tony Robbins.
Wow.
I'm the same age. We were both born in 1960. And I bought his book, Unlimited Power. And that was sort of the continuation. You know, once I had found out I have a subconscious mind. And that's when I started creating my life instead of allowing life to happen to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And okay, then that was the beginning of my own personal development. I didn't coach then. I had kids. I got married. I had kids. I brought up my kids, and I worked as an interpreter for the police for a long time. But then I felt like, with all the experience that I had with all these people from tours, you know, people unload on you. When you travel with people, they are outside their comfort zone, and they start, I don't know, things start happening to them. So you are there confident, and they tell you everything. And I felt, when I was about 10 years ago, I felt I have so much knowledge. I've brought up kids. I have spent so much time with people, but I needed tools. So I trained as a coach. And that's how I started becoming a coach. A long answer, isn't it?
No, but it's a beautiful answer, because people usually love hearing what is the background story, because we all have a story, you know, what really guides you and directs you towards the personal development as an industry, and then helping yourself and then helping other people. So if you remember a long time ago when you kind of figured out the power of subconscious mind, do you remember what was the most interesting thing for you around or about the subconscious mind?
Well, I learned a lot, of course, during that time. I also learned that a lot of things that are in our subconscious mind are stored in there during our childhood, especially story about my self-esteem. And, you know, when you are a child, like 6, 7 years old, 5, 6 years old, and somebody tells you that you're a princess, you believe it.
Yes.
But when you are a child and somebody tells you that you're stupid or you will never achieve anything, you also believe it. So these are the things that I started finding out. And I also started finding out that I am not stupid, and that I can achieve things, you know, and that I have already achieved a lot of things. And that life, basically, you know, you really do understand. I think one of the biggest epiphanies in life is to understand that life does not happen to you. You make it happen, which, of course, now you can say, okay, no, that's not true. Things do happen to us. But then we always have a choice how we want to react to it. Because, yes, you know, I'm, you know me, I use bad words. Shit happens. But it always depends on how you react to it, because it happens to all of us. There is nobody in the world who doesn't have something, you know.
Yeah. And I love that. I usually use that as well. There's nobody in the world that has something. We all work in progress. And I love that premises that you're saying, that you're co-creating and creating your life. And even if you say, no, I haven't created that, if that circumstance presents itself to you, you have a choice. Do I respond or do I react, or how do I react and how do I respond? And that choice gives you basically that ultimate control over your life, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, you know, there are so many things that we actually don't know. We don't know, or, well, I don't know, maybe you do, but I don't know. Do we choose our parents? Did I choose? How did I start? Maybe I needed this lesson. Maybe I needed to have this tough time at the beginning of my life, because that gave me all the strength to become what I am today and to love my life, because I know that, and this is also really my story, is if I can make it, anybody can, because I really had no, you know, I didn't have anybody looking after me. And I was a very clever child. I would have liked to study. I would have actually liked to study medicine, but there was nobody paying for my books. So I just did an apprenticeship, and I I did a marketing and business apprenticeship, and then I would have never had that life, that fun life, that travel, all this, if everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. Listen, I'm a firm believer, that we do choose, on a certain level, on a soul level, which is also your topic of today, our parents, our circumstances. And I think that all of those circumstances that we choose, that we relate to as the tough ones, are actually the springboards for us to see ourselves in action, to use that challenging experience, and then to move through life ourselves, to be able to create a life that we choose, and to also be able to sharpen ourselves in those circumstances and show ourselves what we're made of. So it's like a game on a certain level, right? So sometimes this game is tough, sometimes it's much more challenging, some people have it easier. But as you said, we all have those lessons in our life.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a single person in the world. And the thing is that, especially in today's world with social media, everybody is perfect, everything is perfect, and it's not. And I think showing a little vulnerability is nice. It makes you so much more human. And I actually made a post today which says, you don't have to be perfect, because nobody is. And those people who are pretending that they're lying. It's rubbish. It's because there is something everywhere. And I mean, looking at us in this, we are in the first world. We really don't have anything. We don't appreciate life enough.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that's very dear to me, like being able to be vulnerable in that moment. I love the work of Brené Brown and her vulnerability work. That in the essence, in order for us to be able to be fully authentic and not to experience ourselves fully, we need to be at peace with vulnerability, meaning that we need to be at peace with shame, right? Shame is something that it's predominant emotion that goes under the vulnerability. And unless we get in relationship with our vulnerable self and we embrace that we are shy, then we cannot really express ourselves fully. Right?
Yeah, well, shame. I had so much shame as a child. I'm done with shame. No more shame for me. Oh, that's why I really don't care anymore what people think. I really have reached this happy moment in my life, or this happy phase in my life because what other people think of you is their problem, not yours.
Exactly. And, we also spend too much time thinking about what other people think about us while they're busy thinking about themselves.
Exactly.
They don't have time to think about you.
Totally. Yeah, that is so true.
Sit down and they think that's not true. Everybody is busy with their own life. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the Soul Kit, I love the Soul Kit. It's such a beautiful name of the book. And within that book, you have 21 life lessons that you have, shared with the world. What is one of these life lessons or in the Soul Kit that you would love to share with us today?
I got it here. I took it out. It's called, the story is, or it's like the Soul Kit, like when you cut your finger, you go to the first aid kit and you put a Band-Aid on your finger. So what do you do when your soul hurts? That's how the whole thing came about. That's why we called it the Soul Kit. All the content is mine. I had somebody who helped me put all the book together, Sarah Jane Linde. She did all the practical work. She is my left brain. So what is it about? It's a very simple personal development book, and it's got 21 chapters, and which is kind of divided in 3 different sections. The first section is like taking a little stock, understanding where am I, and understanding also, like the first chapter is it's okay to feel down sometimes. And this is what I meant before with all the perfect, being perfect. It's okay. Sometimes you feel down. Sometimes things happen, or sometimes somebody hurts you. And you shouldn't just always erase it and say, oh, it's nothing. Sometimes we do. Sometimes I enjoy feeling a little sorry for myself, because we need those days as well. And that's fine. The thing is, it's okay to feel down, but don't stay there. Learn to find ways to get out of it, because there's no fun. It's no fun. I don't think it's fun to be down, or it's fun to be depressed. Whereas being depressed is another story. It's a very sensitive topic, because there are people who definitely need help and who are in depression. And it's easy to talk, you see. And I never ever want to hurt anybody with that. And but there's a difference between being clinically depressed or feeling down. So, but yeah, don't stay there. And of course, take responsibility for your life. That's lesson number 2. Adjust your sails. We are not, when you are, I love this metaphor, like you're a little boat. Imagine yourself as a little boat. And when you have a sail that just hangs there, the wind will blow you wherever it wants to blow you. But when you set the sail, then the wind will blow you where you decide where you want to go. So I love metaphors. I love telling stories. I'm a storyteller. That's why I'm a good hypnotherapist, because I put people to sleep with my stories. And then the second section of the book is like, give up things that don't serve you. There are so many things that we do that don't serve us. For example, one of the first chapters in that part is worrying. Worry serves no purpose. 90%, well, I don't know, probably 100% or 99% of the things that we worry about never happen.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. They never do. We have these false expectations of feeling real, and we energize in those false expectations, but it actually never happen. You're absolutely right.
And, there's only one sure thing in life, and that's where we're all going to die one day. And that is a fact. And the thing about, nobody knows when. We don't know anything. We're just taking everything for granted. And of course, when you get a little older, you become more aware. Life becomes more precious. You look after your health more. You make up for all the sins that you committed when you were young. But young people don't know. You don't know. Life is not guaranteed ever.
Mm-hmm. So when you give up the things that do not serve you, because I love that term and I love that notion and what it means. So what would you say to people who are struggling or giving up or letting go? How do we really let go?
Well, I think I always say the mind is a muscle, like a bodily muscle. And it takes a while. Nothing happens overnight. I'm a strong believer in repetition, like when you are a worrier, try to meditate, for example. I love meditation, even though people who are not used to meditating, sometimes I have clients and I tell them, like meditation really helps you to slow down your thoughts, to get more mindful. And then they will say, yeah, I'm going to meditate from now on half an hour every day. No, because no normal person can suddenly sit down. If you have never meditated before, you cannot sit down for half an hour and meditate. It takes 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Set your phone 10 minutes. And then, because otherwise it just frustrates you. And that's not the whole idea of meditation. But I believe that the mind is a muscle, and it's a muscle that you can train. And habits are created by repetition.
And I love what you're saying, is setting realistic goals, the micro goals that will lead you to the bigger goal. Because if you set the big goal immediately and you're not able to sustain, simply because it's a muscle and the muscle cannot stretch that far.
No.
By default, stay where it is. You have to move slowly, gently, and get into that space. I think that's beautiful how you set people for success. So through meditation and to micro movements, you can slowly, gently begin letting go of what is not serving you any longer. Yeah.
Absolutely. And also when you do start, like you say, I'm going to start meditating every morning, and then you don't do it after a week, you stop doing for 2 or 3 days, you haven't failed. You just start again. This is another thing that humans tend to do. They say, oh, I tried and then I did, and then I just gave up. It doesn't matter if you go up. You just took a break. You haven't given up. And then you just start again. Yeah. We give up too quickly.
Yes. Like a lovely children, you just fall down, get up, and we keep on moving. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Kids are, if we live, I don't know what happens to us at some point in our life, things just get messed up, because kids are not racists. Kids don't care what they look like. Kids are, it's just so beautiful to watch a child.
Mm-hmm. So that's the second chapter, like give up what is not serving you. What's
the third chapter is reset and restart. It's like once you have cleared up your crap, once you have let go of the things that don't help you, then you can start rebuilding your life. And one of the biggest things you've just already mentioned is goal setting. Set goals. Mm-hmm. Because if you believe in the universe, we believe in energy. If the universe doesn't know what you want, how is it going to know what to serve you? You know, if you don't know what you want, you will not recognize opportunities. And when there's a place in our brain which is called the reticular activating system. I'm sure you're familiar with that, which is filtering out what is important to us. And whatever is important to us it comes from our subconscious mind. And when we know what we want, we will find it. But when we don't know what we want, we're just, like the little ship again in the sea, floating around and without any destination. And goal setting.
Left and center and forward, and not knowing where to sail, where to go. Yeah.
But goal setting, I think we can set big goals, and then we can break them down in smaller chunks. In small. And there's a beautiful saying: you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step.
Exactly.
But you have to start. The problem is that many people think they have this dream and then they think it's never going to happen. So I might not even, they don't even try. And that's a shame, because we all have capacity, a lot of capacity, a lot more than we think we do.
And I think that the service of coaching and personal development is to expand that capacity for people to remember that we get that capacity, because as you say, shit happens. I say life takes over. My saying, life takes over, the busy life, the daily life, the intricacies of waking up, managing yourself, shopping, cleaning, cooking, going to the job, coming back, supervising your kids, taking care of your parents, and so on and so forth. So we forget, because we're in this loop. So the part of this beautiful function of personal development and coaching is to step back and to really take the stocks and then reset and take charge of your life.
I think I also feel like it's a little bit like holding somebody's hand a little bit for a while, once in a while, when they need to be able to fall back. And also, again, not overpromise. And a very important thing in personal development and in our job is to make people understand that, yes, I am here. I can help you with these and these techniques, but I cannot do it for you. You still have to do it yourself. This is I think, because there is a lot of promise in the personal development world, which I don't like. If you buy my course, you are going to be this and this and this. And if you don't buy my course, you're going to be stupid for the rest of your life. And this, isn't that the message that some people give out?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
you messed up for the rest of your life. I didn't open the promise, but you're absolutely right that in coaching, and the ball is always with the coachee. I use this analogy from sports because I love sports. You never seen the coach in the sports team in the middle of the game, which is alive, getting out on the playing field, taking the ball from the player and then scoring the goal, right? You don't do this. The players are the ones who are carrying the game. So it is true. The ultimate responsibility, it's you. But what I perceive, Elisabeth, is also that people, as you said, there is a reluctance to engage sometimes, right? There is a reluctance to engage in the game of life because of these beliefs. I cannot do this. So what would you say from your perspective of the nature of the belief?
I think it's a good idea sometimes you just need, I have clients who come to see me only once for various reasons. Some come to see me only once because I tell them that they have to take responsibility, and then they never come again because they don't want to take responsibility. And then there are others who understand after one session what this is about, what life is about. They obviously knew it before, but sometimes somebody needs to tell them and that they need to take responsibility. And once you take responsibility, it's a breeze, really. And of course, I've got all sorts of clients, some who come for a long time. They just want to be, some just, that there are people who just need somebody to listen to them.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I don't remember what you asked me.
The nature of the belief, it's okay that some people
believe. So beliefs, it's a good idea to take stock of the content of your subconscious mind. What beliefs do I have? Because many of us don't even know. And I think it's also, once you have achieved something, once you understand that you can actually do this and this and this. And then you can also look back of the things you have done. If you're still here after 50 years or 40 years, you have achieved something. You've made it and you've overcome all the obstacles.
Absolutely. And in itself, that's a testament of your success. And what I would say about the belief, you take the stock of your subconscious beliefs, especially when you're setting the goals, for example, is you need to know what you believe about yourself, about the world, about your potential, your possibilities before you engage. Because if you believe, oh, that will never happen to me, this is only for selected few. For example, I would never be able to be what I'm aiming to become, because my subconscious mind has a program that doesn't believe that no matter how hard you try and effort, you will not be able to achieve it. So I think in the goal setting, it's extremely important to understand what you believe about yourself.
Absolutely. And I see it also with people who never managed to lose weight because they were told as a child that if you finish all your plate, you're a good girl or you're a good boy. And that is just so, you can still just put a little less food and then you can still finish your plate and you are a good girl. So but all those beliefs that were instilled in us, and the people who did these, our parents or our teachers, they meant well. They didn't do this. It's just that some of the stuff that we were told is not valid anymore. And it's the same, it's beliefs and it's also values, because I know people who have been brought up in a very strong environment of security. Every time the kid run a little bit, don't run, it's dangerous, you're going to fall down. Or so then you have this desire, you have this wish to, I don't know, to go not on a safari, you go on a trekking tour. But when you have this strong value of security in your subconscious mind, it stops you. You don't dare to do anything. And it's good to find what is really in there. And also some of our memories, lots of our memories are made up. We made them up. They are not as bad as we think they are. Sometimes when we need a good story and at the end we believe it.
Yeah, I love how you're humanizing everything that we do. And as you're sharing, it's so much fun, actually, because, we're hilarious on a certain level when it comes to making up our memories and you're creating our own stories. If you see it from the lens of humor, then you can really, through laughter, transcend and transform even the most difficult things that you believe,
Humor, I think this is so important and it makes you feel so much more relaxed. Life is so much more fun when you can laugh. And I think the best person to laugh about is yourself.
I do that all the time. That's my medicine, for example. I don't take myself seriously, especially within the personal development industry, because if you do, then it's a different story. So that's the chapter. I think we were in chapter number 3. What happens next?
That's it. You're done.
I'm done. Oh my God.
No, it's 21 chapters, but it's like 3 different. I've turned my book also in a course. I also sell it. I recorded it, so people can also buy a recorded session. Some people don't like books; they like to listen. And after each chapter, after all the 21 chapters, there's a few exercises, sometimes 2 or 3, so you can actually see if you have understood the chapter, and then you can write down. And when you start writing things down, you find out a lot about yourself, but you actually have to do it. Again, you have to do it. Nobody can do it for you.
Yes. And then it needs to be willingness to do it.
Yeah.
So another interesting topic that leans into the, soul kit and 20 lessons for life, it's gratitude, because you keep on talking that gratitude is your medicine. Tell us more and tell to the listeners, why do you feel that gratitude is such an important dimension or energy in our life?
Well, first of all, if you have a roof over your head and running water in your house and electricity and a little food in your fridge and some money in your purse, you are part of 8% of the world's population. 8. That's very, very little. There are people who have to walk 2 hours to get water and it's not clean. And so many things. So that's definitely a reason to be grateful for, just to be born, be part of this parts of the world. That's one thing. And the other thing is that it's science that when we are grateful, our brain releases serotonin or dopamine. It releases a happiness hormone. That's not some new age rubbish. Yeah. That's a fact. That's a scientific fact. And for me, my double dose of serotonin is a gratitude walk. I love to walk. I've always loved to walk. And when you exercise, you also release serotonin or dopamine. So when you walk and you look at the trees and you're grateful for the trees that give you oxygen, or you look at the sea and I love the sea, or you look at anything, there's so much to be grateful for. And you just have to start noticing. So gratitude is definitely my vitamin for the soul. And I really recommend, and writing down gratitude, writing down 2-3 things every morning that you are grateful for is a very, very powerful exercise. And it takes 2 minutes.
And it resets your day in the most beautiful way, because even if you're in the sadness or frustration or disappointment, or you're wanting to achieve something, but you're struggling, when you level yourself with the life and you begin grateful for me, what I feel personally is that I get empowered, but also there is this activation of the creative energy, because through gratitude, you activate your creative powers to really create from that space of feeling good and content with what you already have, instead of lacking something and pushing yourself to attain something that you don't have, right? So it's a very strong foundation to start your life, your day, and a great practice for all of us.
Yeah, and really it doesn't take much, or even the other thing about gratitude is also the way we interact with other people. When you say thank you, just say thank you. When somebody holds the door, or when you go to the supermarket and you say hello to the cashier and say thank you when she gives you the receipt. They go, don't give you money anymore because we pay with cards, but at least whatever, be more. You can be grateful all day. And, because what it's like. I don't remember what it's like when you lived here, but here in Cyprus, sometimes they turn the water off because we never have enough water. And do you know how many times you open the water tap and then you notice that there is no water? That's when you realize that, it's worth being grateful for certain things.
For water as well.
Yeah.
So if you look for the year behind you, because we're recording just before Christmas, what are you grateful for in this year?
I'm great. My biggest achievement this year is my podcast. I'm in love with my podcast because I love to travel, and I've always traveled. I traveled when I was a tour guide. I traveled when I was an interpreter. I traveled with my kids. I traveled, God knows, whenever I can. And suddenly I couldn't travel anymore. It was like I felt like I was missing a limb. So I thought, if I can't travel, at least I can talk about it. So I started Most Memorable Journeys. And I talk about my journeys, funny stories when I was young and stupid in Greece, all the things that happened to me, or when I was working in the US or everywhere all over the world. And then I also have my interview guests to talk about their journeys. And the episode with the most downloads in my podcast is the interview with my kids.
Wow, that's amazing.
You have to listen to that one. It's funny.
Yeah. I love that you're sharing your life and you're sharing your world and you're sharing your kids, and traveling is such an important topic. We'll get into this on our next podcast. I really want to talk about that because it's an essential part of the journey. So you're grateful for your podcast. That's amazing. So as we are kind of looking into the year forward, what will be your recommendation for the listeners now when we close into 2021, getting into 2022? Any practice that you will personally do, to reflect back on the year or set the new goals for the next year? What would be something that you would love to leave our audience with?
Well, I do a gratitude list. I mean, I look back at my year, and of course the podcast is number one, but I'm grateful for so many more things. I'm grateful for never catching it. I haven't, I'm going to say it, I'm even probably grateful for the vaccine. I don't know, many people may not agree. I'm grateful for being healthy. I'm grateful for being able to exercise. I'm grateful for a million things. And I recommend to everybody to write down, because it's not only just about gratitude, it's also looking at the year and understanding what was really nice this year, because you will realize that so many things were good. And what we tend to do as humans is to just concentrate on that one thing that didn't go well, instead of looking at all the other stuff that went well. And looking forward to the next year, I like lists. I like goals. And I also feel that when you have a list and you have a difficult thing to do that one first, because that gives you this sense of achievement. So that releases dopamine again, and that everything else after that is easy. Start with the most difficult one and then work your way down your list. List, goals, and happiness. Sometimes you just sit there and don't do it. It's not always necessary to do something.
The beingness part is extremely important. Just be.
Yes.
Be. Yeah. So for the listeners, create a list, for example, for what would you like to accomplish in 2022? Think about 2021, list all the things that you're grateful for. Focus on the full cup instead of half empty cup. Don't get stuck in a space of, I haven't done this, I haven't achieved this goal. Focus on what you actually have done this year, what the experiences. And then, when you tackle the goals in 2022, start with the most challenging one. Do the big one first, because that will give you the boost of energy, the boost of hormones, the boost of motivation, self-esteem, and then you can jump into other goals. And then learn how to be more present, because we're doing, but we're actually human beings, right? So we need to kind of be present. And what you said beautifully, mindfully walking, connecting to the sea, being in relationship to the elements around you, just really, really feeling that energy of gratitude. And then, of course, order Soul Kit and listen Soul Kit and learn about 21 lessons, because I think that how you started with the Soul Kit, it's a bandage for the soul. I think it's so important that we address our souls. I have practitioner who is bioresonance practitioner, and sometimes I will go to her she calls it tuning in, when she adjusts your frequencies. And then she would sometimes ask me, your soul is sad. What's happened with your soul? Why is your soul sad? I never even thought my soul is sad. And when I really connected that, yes, you're absolutely right. My soul was sad about this. Or she would say, your soul is really happy today. What happened in your life? I was like, wow, this happened and that happened and that happened. That made my soul sing, or that made my heart sing. So I think it's super important that, first of all, you bring in this terminology of the soul, because soul is an essential part of ourselves. And then the lessons of the soul, because this is a soul journey in our life, right? So wonderful work. And I'm really hoping that all of our listeners are going to download and buy the book. So how can they get that book from you? Is it on Amazon, or you have a personal website? Where is it?
I have a personal website, which is actually called www.thesoulkit.com.
Right.
And in there, I've got some other books. I've got some ebooks. This is the only one that I printed, but I've got a book called Use Your Subconscious. I don't remember. Use Your Subconscious Mind to your advantage. And I love the metaphor about you are the gardener and your subconscious mind is the garden. So that's how I describe it, because it's up to you to decide what grows in your garden.
Yeah. Let me leave people with that. You're the gardeners and your subconscious mind is the garden. Elisabeth, thank you so much for joining us today. It was beautiful, short and sweet. I hope we're going to record once again. And thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure. It was so good. I love spending time with you. It was so good to see you. Thank you. And Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in to the T&M Coaching Unplugged and Zoran Todorovic Interconnected podcast. So happy you're coming with us every week to these wonderful conversations with beautiful people who are helping you elevate your soul, your heart, your mind to the next level and become the best possible version of yourself. See you next week.